You start to learn a lot about a dancer when you restage an old work on them. And then you also start to learn a lot about a dancer when you make something new on them or for them. Certain dances, sort of like we were talking about with Stairway, require a certain kind of performance aesthetic, even a certain kind of body type, or a certain kind of physicality that enables the mover to do the type of task that is required. And when making something new, you can use the body and the body type and the aesthetic as inspiration for creating something. Modern dance is more open to interpretation for how each body can embody choreography. And early modern dance lineage, which I came under and came down from, choreographers actually built their technique based off of the repertory they made. So they were designing dances, and then they thought, we need dancers who can do these dances. Let's make techniques to support how to learn these dances. It's interesting because Hannah, who I had a year of getting to know, and her getting to know my personal aesthetic and my movement making style and my priorities and my goals and things that matter to me, she was able to easily sort of translate some of that information into the Zoom setting. She could find weight and she could find a sense of swing and suspension. She also had just finished a Graham training program at the Martha Graham School. And so a lot of those aesthetics that she was learning and working on are present in my choreographic lineage that sort of lives in me. When I started making choreography, a lot of the work was really about my body and what my body felt good doing. And I come from a classical modern dance lineage of Paul Taylor and Martha Graham and Jose Limon, and using the power of the back and the use of the core and the contraction, and thinking about the weight of my limbs in space and the power of my pelvis to move myself across the floor and through space. When I started making choreography, that was what I was really using as a physical foundation, was what my physical experiences were and how I put them into shape and action with musicality through space. And so that was kind of what I needed people to do, was to sort of move like me and to move in a way that communicated the things that were important to me, like the weight of my limbs, using my space, all of those sorts of things. Nicole comes from a lot of training that has the same kind of teachers that teach choreographic lineages or techniques and styles that are similar to the kind of techniques and styles that I use in my movement making. And so it was an easy sort of transition, even through Zoom, for Nicole to jump on board with finding weight and finding shaping of the spine and the torso, twisting, rotation, finding weight and power and those sorts of things. Even though she's a much longer limbed, a much longer mover than I am, she was able to make that aesthetic translation easily. I didn't have enough time with Talia in person. That was tricky. And there are certain things that, even when you're trying to talk about using weight and trying to demonstrate things, it doesn't translate over a Zoom platform, where I could have someone like tactily touch my body, or I could facilitate an action with them, or we could travel across the floor side by side and feel one another's energy, or challenge one another to cover space, or to do things like that. Those kind of really successful teaching things, those sort of tactics that are important for me when I'm communicating information, you can't do that over Zoom. It's different for someone too, like Marie, who we grew up dancing together as kids in my mom's studio in Buffalo. And so we come from the sort of same, though it's not the same modern dance lineage, we come from sort of the same human lineage. Like, we grew up in the same town. We danced at the same studio. We were part of the same sort of, pre-professional vibe, the expectations about how you learned and what you learned and what was expected of you as a performer. Those things are equally as important as what you're learning anyways. It sort of taught me that working over a virtual platform like Zoom is really most successful when you have kind of foundational experiences that overlap with dancers. Essentially, I think I realized that it's incredibly challenging, if not impossible, to start at a base level or have a foundation with someone that's not pre-existing in a virtual space. So if you are able to continue work or continue a process that already exists in a virtual space, that feels like a facilitated experience that can already bank on existing relationships or existing knowledge. But if you're trying to start from square one over Zoom, it doesn't work. There's something that's tangibly intangible about dance that doesn't translate in that space.